Alright, so the Eagles defensive line just put the league on notice, as that group full of extremely talented players has been looking scary during the summer, and they just dominated the Eagles offense with guys like Jalen Carter and Josh Sweat shining. Meanwhile, Eagles rookie Quinyon Mitchell has managed to shock old school defensive coordinator Vic Fangio, as the coach had some very high praise for the rook. Meanwhile, Nakobe continues to fight and make a case for significant playing time, while the Eagles offensive line got a little banged up and the entire defense dominated. So let's talk about that and all the other latest Eagles news, and we won't waste any time. Let's get straight into it. So I think it's safe to say that at this current moment, the Eagles defense seems to be an improvement from last year's group. I mean, at the very least, they're set up to be much better than last year's defense that was just one of the worst overall units in the league by the time the season ended. And a big part of that is the perceived improvement to the linebacker group, with the most notable new addition, of course, being Devin White. And White has really been a great addition to the team so far, as he's been a consistent positive presence for the defense out on the field during camp so far, but also just as a leader in the Eagles locker room and a guy that's going to pick up and hype up his teammates. And that is exactly what he did on Saturday, as after practice, he was asked to name one teammate he expects to have a huge year, and this is what he said.
Offense or defense?
Up to you.
Jalen Carter.
Why is that?
Because he's been working extremely hard, and dude got his own pass rush moves, and man, I think he really identifying his technique and just becoming great at it.
Yeah, so first off, it's just awesome to hear White hype up Carter like that, but I also think that it's really no surprise that JC is the one who he picked, as I think most Eagles fans have really high hopes and expectations for Carter this year. I mean, he's obviously super talented and coming off a very promising rookie year, and now that he's been in the league for a season and he's also been working extremely hard and mastering his craft like Devin White said, I think it's completely reasonable to expect that he's going to completely break out this year. And one other great thing about Carter is that he's been making his teammates better during camp so far as well. And specifically, I'm talking about tackle turned guard Mekhi Becton, as the two have had a ton of battles, whether that be in team drills or in one-on-ones, and obviously Carter's the one who has the advantage just due to the fact that Becton's still new to the guard position, but now, after some time has gone by, it seems like Mekhi might be starting to catch up a little bit. As in yesterday's practice, the two had 3 straight one-on-one reps against each other, and surprisingly, the new starting right guard won them all, as Martin Frank said that Becton got the best of Carter on all 3 of these reps. So that's honestly just amazing to hear, because right guard is definitely one of the biggest question marks on the Eagles' entire team and offense, just because their starter is a guy who has never played the position before and was also signed later into the offseason, so obviously there's good reason to question just how good he could possibly be, but based on the fact that he's now earned the starting job and also on that, it sounds like he's definitely coming along really nicely. And star left tackle Mailata gave Eagles fans another reason to be confident in Becton, as he gave him a great endorsement after Saturday's practice.
Man, I'm so glad we got Mekhi, man. He's such a great player. He's come a long way from his days from playing left tackle to now playing right guard. I think he's done a great job of just saying, you know, of taking a hold of that opportunity that is presented before him and running with it. I mean, it's a perfect scenario. It's a perfect situation. You know, I think he's just a hungry dog. We have that saying in the O-line room, and it's really just like, you know, hungry dogs run faster, and Mekhi's just running with it. He's hungry. He wants, you know, he sees the connections that we have up front, and he's done a great job of, you know, just fitting in with us. Like, we love Mekhi.
So coming from a star tackle like Mailata, those comments should certainly hold some weight. And it really does sound like ever since Mekhi got to Philly, he's just embraced everything thrown his way, whether it's the change of scenery or switching positions. He's just handled everything so well, and that hungry mentality that Mailata says Becton has had now has him in position to start at a new position and potentially maybe even earn himself a long-term contract here if all things go well. And while it is early on, definitely, as we're still of course in the middle of training camp, he definitely seems to be on the right track so far. And someone else who's on the right track is the rookie Quinyon Mitchell, as the Birds' first-round pick this year has really had a lot on his plate ever since he got to Philly, but he's handled it well, and not only does it look like he could have a very good chance to start this year, but old-school defensive coordinator Vic Fangio has apparently been very impressed by Mitchell, as he praised him before practice on Sunday.
Yeah, he's been great since the day we got him. You know, he works really hard, focused in meetings, not just on the practice field. We have put a lot on his plate, like I've said. He hasn't backed down from it at all, and he's going to be a good player in this league.
So those comments from Fangio just got me so excited about Quinyon and his potential, because we all know that Vic is old school, no BS, and he's going to tell the truth. He's not going to sugarcoat anything. So for him to sit there and say that Quinyon has been great from day one and that he's going to be a good player in this league is just so revealing, because it tells you that Mitchell has gone about his business the right way, he's dedicated himself, he's worked hard, and he's shined out on the field. And again, for him to have already impressed Fangio and earned that praise this early on just speaks volumes about what kind of player Mitchell is and how good he can eventually become in this league. And at this current moment, with Mitchell looking as good as he has, the Eagles have made an effort to make sure they can get Mitchell out on the field early, as he's been the team's starting slot cornerback for most of training camp, and it seems like he's well on his way to starting at that position. Although that's not ideally what the Eagles and Vic Fangio might want per se, because Fangio reiterated again today that in a perfect world, they would want to play him exclusively at outside corner, and you can see the Eagles' desire to get Mitchell playing that position some, as they've been rotating him to the outside at times with the first team as well, including during today's practice. But Fangio also made it clear that nickel is a very important position because in today's game, they're out on the field for 70 to 85% of the snaps, and with all the depth the Eagles have at outside cornerback, it makes sense that Mitchell is playing inside, so he just has a better chance to actually start and get out on the field this year. But then the question is, well, what about Cooper DeJean? As the Eagles' other rookie defensive back just returned to practice last week and began doing team drills again yesterday, but with so much depth at cornerback and also Mitchell being the favorite in the slot now, it kind of makes you wonder what the plans are for DeJean as of now. But the good news is, Vic Fangio gave us a little insight into how the Eagles are managing that situation, and based on his comments, it just seems like they're taking it slow and going one step at a time.
Well, with such the limited amount of reps that he's getting, right now we're focusing him at nickel, but you know, he was drafted as a corner, and eventually like to see him out there and then go from there. But like yesterday, he got 12 reps. It's going to be the same thing today, 2 to 3 reps per period. So, I mean, we're a ways away from knowing what we have there.
So honestly, it seems like we're just going to have to wait and see with DeJean. Obviously right now, like Fangio said, they're playing him at slot cornerback, but they eventually want to get him looks at outside corner as well. I mean, I would say if he didn't get hurt and he had been practicing for all of training camp, he probably would be on track to start in the slot, but now that's probably Mitchell's spot to lose. Now yesterday I talked about the possibility of Coop still potentially starting in the slot just due to the fact that he did get some first team reps yesterday inside, but I also made it clear that if that's going to happen, he certainly has an uphill battle in front of him. And I think right now, honestly, the most important thing is just to get DeJean back and fully integrate him into everything they're doing on defense and then go from there. But what do you guys think? What kind of roles do you expect Mitchell and DeJean to have on the defense this season? You can let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Now, another person whose role for this year is a little bit up in the air right now is the linebacker Nakobe, because even though he still currently doesn't seem to be the starting linebacker next to Devin White, he's been really impressive lately and arguably the team's best linebacker through the past week or so based on all the reports that we've gotten. And Dean continued his impressive play in practice today, and don't worry, we're going to get into that and so much more in just a minute. But real quick, I do want to say, if you are enjoying this video and don't want to miss any other Eagles training camp, preseason, or regular season coverage coming in the future, then make sure you subscribe and also really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. I think that's a win-win for the both of us, because not only do I get more people consistently watching these videos, but you don't miss any other Eagles content just like this. So again, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and also drop a like on this video to show some support. It really does help me out a ton. Let's see if we can hit 1,000 likes on today's video. Now with that being said, let's get back into the video. Now getting back to Nakobe, as I was saying, he made multiple really nice plays during Sunday's practice as he broke up a pass from Jalen Hurts to Devontae Smith at one point, while he also had a sack on Hurts early in practice, and he had a nice play to get a would-be tackle on Saquon Barkley. Plus, reporter Brandon Lee Gowton tweeted out, quote, "Nakobe Dean has been everywhere today, making plays all over the field." So again, it's safe to say that Dean is trending in the right direction, and if he keeps it up, I mean, the least he deserves is a legitimate role and playing time on the defense this year, whether that be him starting or maybe even rotating in at times. And Vic Fangio actually spoke about the possibility of rotating the linebackers before Sunday's practice, and what he said was pretty interesting.
Yeah, we're open to that. I do think you're better off with, you know, a set group, because sometimes it's hard to get guys in and out. You know, you don't want to have to sub to do stuff. But either way, I've done it both ways.
So you heard it there. Fangio said that he is open to subbing the linebackers, although he also made it clear that he thinks it's not ideal to do that. But Nakobe's kind of making it hard on Fangio because with the way that he's been playing, I just don't see how they could leave him off the field. So it's either Fangio changes up the starters or they rotate guys and get Dean on the field that way. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But staying with the linebackers, a couple more of them had good practices today, with Jeremiah Trotter Jr. getting a sack on Jalen Hurts and a few pass breakups on Tanner Mekhi, while Ben Van Sumeren had an interception on a Tanner Mekhi pass that was popped up into the air. So that's definitely promising from both of them, but also not so good for Mekhi, as he really cooled off a bit today, as today was honestly just a terrible practice for him, because on top of those plays, he also threw a pick six to defensive back Perry Nickerson in a red zone drill. So I don't know, maybe we can pump the brakes on the whole Tanner Mekhi hype train for right now, but really, I mean, it wasn't just Mekhi, as the entire offense kind of struggled while the defense dominated. Now, to be fair, I think it's clear that a big reason for that is because Lane Johnson wasn't practicing, as he had a day off, so Fred Johnson was filling in for him at right tackle, and the defense really took advantage of that, particularly Josh Sweat, who had his best practice at training camp on Sunday, as he got 3 sacks on Jalen Hurts in the absence of Johnson. So for one, it was definitely awesome to hear about Sweat making plays, because he's kind of been a guy that hasn't gotten too much attention or coverage during camp, but he's no doubt going to be crucial for the Eagles defense this year. So it's nice to hear that he's out there dominating the offensive line, albeit without Lane Johnson. And he also wasn't the only defensive lineman wreaking havoc, as Jalen Carter also made some really good plays, including getting into the backfield and blowing up a Saquon Barkley run play early on, and also getting a sack on Hurts later in practice. So this definitely only adds on to the Carter hype that I talked about earlier in the video, and so do some recent comments from tight end Dallas Goedert, as after Sunday's practice, he absolutely praised Carter and also his fellow defensive tackle Jordan Davis.
We got 2 interior guys, that Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, that the sky's the limit for them. It's really up to them how good they want to be, but I can see both of those two being a really big problem in the NFL for a long time.
So it's just awesome to hear that Goedert has been impressed with both of those guys, because both are going to be crucial to the Eagles' success this year. So it's great to hear they've been impressive during camp and getting the attention of their teammates. And overall, it was just great to hear that the defensive line was dominant in today's practice, and if they keep it up and put it all together once we get to the actual season, that's going to be scary for NFL offenses. And again, just overall, it was awesome to hear that the defense just had a great day. But what wasn't good to hear is that the offensive line did get a little bit banged up later in the day, as the previously mentioned right guard Mekhi Becton got hurt during practice and limped off the field with a trainer who appeared to be looking at his right leg. And Becton didn't end up returning, so hopefully this injury isn't too serious. And then not too long after, left guard Landon Dickerson also got banged up, as he came up hobbled at one point, but reports suggested that he ended up being okay, so that's definitely a relief. And now moving on, it was also good to hear that despite the defense winning the day, Jalen Hurts still was very good during practice, as he had several nice plays, including a nice touchdown pass to A.J. Brown, and once again, he didn't turn the ball over, and he finished the day 15 for 25 on his throws, with 2 touchdowns and of course, no interceptions. So once again, it was a great practice for Jalen, especially with all the pressure he had to deal with, and again, I just can't overstate just how excited I am about Jalen with the camp that he's had. Now the Eagles will be back out at practice for a few more days before their final preseason game against the Vikings on Saturday, and I'm going to be covering everything from all of that. So again, if you don't want to miss any of that, make sure you subscribe, and also really importantly, turn on notifications. And also while you're at it, make sure you drop a like. Again, it really does help me out a ton. So let's see if we can hit 1,000 likes on today's video, and also leave a comment down below regarding anything that I talked about in this video. That also does help me out a ton. And if you want to watch another video going over practice yesterday, you can check this out right here. Now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.